Hello everyone and welcome back to another video here on the Lil'X YouTube channel. In today's video we are going to be checking out the Pixel 9a. Now for me this is basically the budget phone Pro. Now why would I call it Pro? Especially in today's age where every single company slaps Pro on everything. We know a very popular one, that being Apple, with its AirPods Pros, MacBook Pros, wherever it might. Now for example, this right here, this is not the most expensive phone. However, it has expensive phone features. Like its big brothers, whether it be the 9 Pro, 9 Pro XL, or the 9 Pro Fold. All of them have the same chip, the same hardware pretty much on the inside. Except for, the camera and stuff. But as far as the processor, it is the exact same one. Now, the RAM, this one comes packed with 8, which with its, clean version of Android, I feel like it doesn't really matter that much. I know we have phones with up to like 24 gigs of RAM nowadays. But, let's go back, let's digress, let's, take this phone for what it is, a budget phone. Anyways, enough talking about it. Let's go ahead and check it out. As you can see here, I just got this probably like, a day or two ago, and I am really liking it so far. They had it on sale at Best Buy, I believe, for $150 off, which at that price, this is a no-brainer. Especially if you are a big Android fan, a big Google fan. This is going to get 7 years of software updates. So with that, just with the software updates, this is already winning. Now, there's going to be a lot of things that, people don't like, especially if you're used to the modern style phones. For example, one of them is the thicker side bezel, which for me, I thought it was going to be a thing that I noticed all the time and that would kill the user experience for me. However, I rarely notice it. I feel like this is one of the things that how people like to talk about the crease on the folding phones. I feel like this has to do with that. Because, once I'm using the device, I'm not paying attention to the bezels. Now, would it be, awesome if they were, all the way to the edge, like on the new iPhones and like the new Galaxies? Of course. But, the way they are right now, this is nothing to complain about. You really don't notice them. Now, it does make it look like an older Android phone. However, it's on the inside what really matters. Talking about what's on the inside, like I said, it comes with the Tensor G4 processor. We are on the 5th generation, so this is just one generation behind. And it came out, I believe, like 6 months ago. So it's not super old. In terms of storage, we do have 128 or 256 of storage. I went ahead and went with the base model, which is the 128. And I have no issues. I believe I still have a good amount of space. And as you can see here, pulling up the storage, I do have a good amount filled. So I don't want to lie and say, hey, I still have a lot. I have used 77 gigs out of 128. So I still have, a good amount of free storage that I could use. Now, I don't think I'm going to be adding any more apps. And if I do take pictures, a lot of them get backed up to Google Drive. So I rarely keep anything local when it comes to media. Of course, with Netflix, YouTube, everything is streamed nowadays. So I rarely keep anything local on this phone. With that being said, checking out the hardware inside, we have the volume and the power button on the right side. As you can see here at the top, we have our microphone with our antennas, and then on the left side we don't have nothing, we just have our little antenna lines, and then at the bottom we have our single little microphone there and our SIM card slot. Now this supports dual SIM with eSIM, and then we have our speaker here, and of course, we have our earphone speaker, which also doubles as a, loudspeaker whenever you're like on making calls or listening to music. With that said, let me wipe the screen down a little bit. This is a little bit of a fingerprint magnet, especially the back being matte how it is. It reminds me of like the MacBooks. But yeah, this is the display. It's a 6.3 inch, but they call it the actual display, and it gets all the way up to 1800 nits of brightness. So that is pretty cool. And if you are running HDR content, it can actually read 2700 peak brightness on this budget phone. Now you see that on like more Pro phones. Once again, this is why I call it the budget phone Pro. One of the other features that is awesome, it also has face unlock. As you can see here, if I face it towards me, you get the unlock animation with the little lock. I have it so where it doesn't bypass the lock screen. You can have it to where as soon as it scans your frame, boom, it goes into the home screen. I like to read my notifications, so I like to, just keep it like that. And if I just tap this, it will unlock. Or you can, do the iPhone way and then just swipe up like so. Welcome into our home screen. Now, like I mentioned, this is running the Pixel launcher, the most clean version of Android that we can get. Let me put the brightness up a little bit so y'all can see it better. And then this display, it is amazing. I can view it in direct sunlight, no problem. Now, sometimes the phone will get a little hot and it will have to bump down the brightness. You know how it goes. Especially with the phone being the color that it is, it absorbs, more light and can get warmer a little bit, especially if you have it on one of those mounts on your car. I noticed that it tends to get pretty hot there. But as you can see here, this is, no slouch by any means. This is, super fast. We have, the 120 hertz refresh rate on the base version. Now, Apple barely added that to their base models this year. I say base, but their introductory models this year. Google has been having it, I believe, since last year or 2 years ago. But as you can see here, this is like super, super snappy. You're not going to get any sort of lagginess. And then, now when it comes to the cameras, we have a 48 megapixel main and a 13 megapixel wide angle. With the wide angle, you can only do 4K at 30 frames per second. Now, with like every pixel out there, the camera is, one of the main things that you get the pixels for. And this is no slouch at all. Now, except for the, you don't get the telephoto lens on this one. You just get, the wide angle and the ultra wide angle camera. Now at the front, we do have a single 13 megapixel camera. As you can see there, we have our little hole punch up there. Now, once again, this is no slouch at all. You can record 4K at 30 FPS or 1080p at 60. And the selfies, just like the front facing camera, are, pretty good. Now, for people who are considering a budget phone, you have options out there. For example, like I said, Motorola offers a lot of variants, a lot of their G variants, which can range from I think $150 at Best Buy all the way to $400. And then of course you go into the Razer line and stuff like that. And you have all of the Blues, the Samsung also with their A series. That's also pretty good. However, unlike Samsung, I think just now they just started doing where they are promising software updates. You're gonna get the updates on here first. Just like every other Pixel out there, you're going to get pixel drops. You're going to get everything that the newer Pixels get. You will pretty much get it on here. Now, of course, there's going to be some things that, can't be compatible just due to it being a more budget-oriented phone. But, like, for example, all of the AI features this phone gets. You get Gemini on here, and it is pretty fast. So as you can see here, you can enhance images and just do a whole bunch of AI features. A lot of it locally on your device. Now, for some, you do have to upload them, especially if it's a more demanding task. But as you can see here, you can do Gemini Live, and start talking. Hello, Gemini, you're on a YouTube video.
Well, hello there. It's always a pleasure to chat. What would you like to talk about today? Anything on your mind you'd like to share?
Now, as you can see, just hearing that, this is like the smoothest. And it keeps on going. As you can see, it pretty much treats it like you're making a call. That is awesome. That is freaking cool. So you get all the AI features, plus you get, all the Pixel Studio stuff, and you can edit images and, tweak them in that sense. So you get all of the AI features on this budget phone that I paid less than $400 for. This has features that the $1,000, $2,000 Pixel Fold has. Now, it does have, its downsides. For example, the bezels, and you don't get, the super ultra mega best quality camera, even though with the processing, I feel like that's more than enough. The display gets super, super bright. As you can see here, this is max brightness, and the camera can even pick up. I'm going to try to adjust it manually. As you can see here, that's me manually adjusting it, but I had to drop down the brightness so much just so we could see it. Now, let me go ahead and bring it back down and focus the camera again. Yeah, this is as much of a pro version phone as any other Pixel, and especially as much as any other iPhone, especially now than ever. Now, the performance is not going to be the super ultra mega best when it comes to like gaming, but now unless you're like a professional level gamer, now here we go, we're testing the speakers out. As you can see here, they're pretty loud. Anyways, unless you're a professional level gamer, you are not gonna get this phone to play any sort of competitive games on. With that said, I'm not saying that it can't handle it. Of course, it can handle your Asphalt, your Call of Duty mobiles, all of that. But this is not a ultra, performance gaming phone by any means. If you want that, you get the Asus ROG gaming phone, or, you get the new iPhone. With this is gonna run any mobile game, no slouch, no problem. But if you're expecting like the ultra mega best quality, phone, this is not it. Even though, like I said, it can handle your COD mobiles, anything, no problem, and at a pretty high frame rate and high quality. Now I know this is more on the simpler side, but as you can see here, it is running it no issues, no problem, no stutter, no nothing. I didn't have to wait for the game to load that much. Now let's go ahead and open up another one here. This is, a classic. As you can see here, I hit launch and it opens it up immediately. As you can see here, bam, and we are in the game. And I believe this is optimized to run at a very high frame rate. You might even do 120 hertz. As you can see here, oh, it's a multiplayer now. I hadn't played the multiplayer. As you can see here, this is running so smooth. You can do your tricks, Okay, this is just I hadn't booted up this game. I just downloaded it because it looked fun and I wanted to play it later. But as you can see here, it is running it no problem. Let's pause it, exit out, and then this is us running it on top of all the other apps that we are running. And as you can see here, we're gonna clear all the apps, and we're back to the home screen. Let's just say you want to get a phone for a family member. You want this to be your secondary work phone, or you just want to dabble into Android. You haven't used Android in a minute. This will be the phone for just that. Or if you need a phone, I'm using this as my daily driver. I have everything that I'm doing. This phone has it. As you can see here, I have my dual SIM cards over at the top. One for my work and then one for, just personal. And this phone can run it no problem. This is not a slouch by any means. With that said, keep an eye out for any of the Black Friday deals. If I find anything, I'll post them in the comments down below or in the description. And with that said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Oh, and shout out to, Bernie for being the wallpaper of the phone. Pretty cute little dog. Anyways, with that said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.